What's up, everybody? We are back with another $2 deck tech for 2DH, a format we created to have a new meta for Commander and make the game more accessible to players on a budget. I'm here with Wes. He's going to tell us about one of the best decks in the format, Karametra, God of Harvest.
Alright, as Joel said, the general is Karametra. She's the keystone of the deck. She's really hard to get rid of, and if you can get her out really early, turn 3 or 4, which is possible in this deck, you can just go to town, getting so many lands that you just can overwhelm any other opponents that you've got going on. So let's start with the early game. I've got several little mana helpers, mana fixers. We've got 4 elf dorks. We've got 3 land searchers. And we have 2 cost reducers. Fortunately, both of these little familiars reduce the cost of the other color spells, so it's very nice of Wizards to put those both in plane shift. And the reason these are all in the deck, if you notice, they all cost less than 3, and that's because they are here to get Karametra out as early as possible. They don't serve much purpose late game other than fetching you an extra land off of Karametra's ability, so you want to have as many of these in your opening hand as possible, preferably one of the elf dorks and then another one of the cards to get Karametra out on turn 3. Next, we've got some ETB/utility creatures. First, this group of 3 cards. They are very near and dear to my heart. They each have a bounce effect when they enter play. You just return a creature to your hand as they enter the battlefield. And the reason these are so broken with Karametra is, say you've got 6 lands in play, end of your opponent's turn, White Mane Lion, return White Mane Lion to hand. Do it again, boom, end of turn, you just got 3 extra lands, you start going to town. These are absolutely broken in Karametra. Fierce Empath, I've got so many 6-cost creatures in here that do great things. He was an auto-include for me. Bane of Progress, one of those 6-cost creatures, blows up all artifacts and enchantments. Rex Sage, more hate. Trestodon, more hate again, and with an extra little function, if it's late game and you need a couple extra beaters or blockers, or you're trying to eke out a win with just enough damage, blow up some of your own lands. You know, you've got plenty, you're going to have a million kajillion lands, you don't care if you blow up 3 forests at the end of the game, so just create yourself 3 3/3s. Have some fun. Brutalizer Exarch, another Fierce Empath style creature. I'm usually just going to use this to find a creature that I need for the situation at hand, or he's got the nice little Terastodon ability of getting rid of a non-creature permanent, which is kind of cool. So that comes in handy every once in a while. Artisan, honestly don't care about Annihilator. I want a 10-9 that gets me back a big creature in my graveyard. That's what he's in the deck for. Acidic Slime, more hate. Angel, super blowout card. Flash, just wipes out all attacking creatures, can really turn a game around at a split second. Resolute Archangel, another blowout. Brings you back up to 40. I have won games because I drew this card, being at less than 10 life. It's an absolute, not only lifesaver, but it's just so demoralizing for your opponents. Sets Tiger, kind of cool. Give yourself protection from any color when he comes into play. That's really the only reason he's in the deck. Just really cool utility. Sunblast, pseudo Wrath effect. And then I've got this guy, which can help all these guys out by bouncing them, or flickering him when he comes into play. Get to reuse all these really cool ETB effects. Still trying him out. He hasn't been in the deck long, but from what I've seen, he's been great. He's helped out several ways. So, got Sun Titan. He's one of the first few cards I've got that helps out these little guys. If you happen to have some of these little mana dorks still in the game, late game, or if they've died, he can bring them back, and then Creeper Hulk turns your little guys into 5/5s, so he can be kind of an extra edge to get you in just enough damage if you need that extra 3 or 4 power with Trample. Thunderfoot Baloth, another pumper, gives everybody Trample if you've got Karametra in play. Since she's indestructible, you're usually going to do that. Just a beater. Only artifact I've got in the deck for a reason that you will see in just a moment. But he just so hard to get rid of, just like Karametra, and so huge, just wipes out opponents. Baloth, pretty obvious auto-include. Hydra Broodmaster, another pretty obvious auto-include since I'm going to have so much access to so much lands. Alright, Now let's go on to these more stagnant creatures. They're not ETB, but they're great creatures to have on your side of the field. Pride Mage, more hate. Molder Slug, the reason I've only got one artifact in the deck. Everyone in this format is, if they're not playing green, they're running artifact ramp. So this could really just ruin someone's day if you get him out turn 6 or something. World Queller, just another Molder Slug type effect. I'm usually going to choose artifacts with this card. Lockshot and Gatekeeper slows everyone down. This speeds you up. And some creature protection. Got the Dawnbringer, more graveyard recursion, which is great. It's kind of a small sub-theme in this deck, but it really helps with unexpectedly blowing out some of your opponents. Next, we got a couple lands. I run as many basic lands as I can because Karametra can only look for plains or forests. But the non-basics that I do run have very important purposes. Maria, more recursion. Arcane Lighthouse for some spot removal against your problematic hexproof generals. Okina, this is really just in there for Karametra. Getting her to that 7 power can turn her alone into a 3-turn clock with general damage, so it's kind of helpful to have that in the deck. And then I've got the 2 hideaway lands for blowout situations with this, which this deck just loves. Next we'll go on to some card draw. I'm going to be casting so many creatures so quickly in this deck, my hand's going to run out, so I've got to have a way to get more cards into my hand to keep the game going. I've got 2 ETB-style card drawers. Primordial Sage is actually on cast, but basically the same effect. I don't really have any token effects besides Martial Coup, which neither of these will be around when that's cast anyway, so it doesn't matter. But very, very helpful. I'm usually tutoring for this when I cast Fierce Empath. This is usually my go-to guy unless there's something very dangerous on the board I need to get rid of. Oran Viper. He's got Combat Death Touch, Pseudo Death Touch, and when he hits a player, you draw a card, so incentive not to block. Harmonize, pretty standard. Momentous Fall, I've got huge creatures in there, so I can get some major card advantage off this if I don't need one of my bigger guys. Like if Sun Titan's all used up, I'll sack him to Momentous Fall. Lead the Stampede, the coolest Commune to Nature ever. Basically just, usually I'm going to reveal 3 or 4 creatures when I cast this card, so awesome card advantage. And I've got some spot removal. Oblation, less good with the new rule, but still pretty good. Darksteel Mutation. Banishing Stroke. I've had some people ask me why this is in the deck. The Miracle's awesome if you need an answer to like an early general and you just happen to draw it on turn 3. It's really cool. But if it starts in your opening hand, you also don't care because by the time you're going to need to cast this card, you're going to have a million lands in play. So the 6 casting cost isn't that bad. And then I've got 3 Wrath-style effects. Alright, next, my favorite pile of them all. The Blowout pile. Collective Blessing. Everybody gets +3/+3. Pretty self-explanatory. True Conviction. Another Blowout. Hymn of Rebirth. Appears like basic Graveyard Incursion, but you can grab anyone's creature from anyone's graveyard. So if someone's got something you like, very helpful there. No one expects the white counterspell. I can't tell you how many times I've played this card, watched all my opponents just facepalm so hard, and then sigh and groan, and then I win next turn. Such a great card. Another Dauntless Escort style effect. It's really just there for the indestructible. The populate doesn't do anything in this deck. Boundless Realms. This is really a backup in case Karametra gets eliminated really early and I can't cast her when I'd like to. This just grabs most of the deck, most of the basic lands that I'll need for the rest of the game. Return to Dust. Almost always going to cast this during the main phase for the value. Dawn Charm, just another counterspell style effect. And here are the big boys. Overwhelming Stampede. Casting this when Karametra has Devotion just usually ends the game. Rude Awakening. Casting this with enough lands in play almost always ends the game. And then Triumph of the Hordes. The easily, in my opinion, the best green overrun card ever printed. especially for this format. I can count the number of times I've cast this card and not one on one finger. Absolutely staggering blowout card. Praetor's Council. It costs 8. Who cares? You're going to have 9 million lands in play. You're going to get your entire hand back, and you're going to go to town. Marshal's Anthem is easily the best card in the deck. You wipe the board, everyone's reset to 0. You cast this next turn and multi-kick it 5, 6 times. That's not even a big deal. You're going to get back all your huge beaters, and no one's going to have any way to deal with them. You're usually going to win a couple turns after you cast this card if you cast it in the right way.
Nice job on the deck tech, Wes. That brought back a lot of bad memories of losing to you. And if you're interested in 2DH, we've got a Facebook group. You're free to join it. Click on it in the links below. Feel free to leave any comments or questions. Thanks for watching, everybody.